Welcome back, friends. Today, I wanted to talk about mobile gaming and the larger role it plays in the gaming community. So, as you may know, I have a social media presence, and a while back, I posted one of my shorts on Instagram. Now, the short in question was from one of my narrative pieces, and the question posed was, what makes you a gamer? And now the comment from this user was something along the lines of, you'll never learn and you'll never grow unless you stop playing these low quality mobile games. And now, while the gap between regular PC or console gamers and mobile gaming has changed quite a bit in the past, there are still a lot of comments like these going around on the internet. And I think more so than the games themselves, it has a lot to do with the mentality of the person playing these games. Now, my response to this comment was something along the lines of, think about it for yourself. If you had no other choice but to play only mobile games for the rest of your life, would you stop being a gamer altogether? And I think that's a good place to start for a lot of us. I think when it comes to mobile games, a lot of people have the wrong idea about them. Many of us who are so used to playing on our consoles or on our PC may seem to think that mobile games are a bit of a step down, or even that they do not belong at all in the gaming space. And now the thing about mobile games is that they vary so much depending on what type of game you're looking for and what type of person you are. Mobile gaming is such a broad spectrum that it can envelop anything from puzzle games to action RPG games to turn-based strategy games, and not specifically in that order, and you'd be surprised at what some of the top selling mobile games are. But let's take a step back for a moment. What is the purpose of mobile gaming? I think one of the main ideas behind it is not only functionality, but availability. Whereas with consoles and PC, you are relegated to one spot when playing video games, and unfortunately you're not able to continue the journey if you decide to move somewhere else. And to be very specific, what I mean is, once you put down that controller on the console or on the PC, if you have to go to a meeting or to an appointment, essentially you are tied down to that position where you're at. And I think mobile games make gaming much more available for many people worldwide. And I think that's very important in this day and age where so many of us are so busy and we can't seem to find the time to sit down for 2 or more hours to actually play through a video game on a regular basis. So once again, I think availability is a priority here. And now I personally think being able to pull out your phone and pick up where you left off on your adventure is extremely useful and helpful for those of us who don't have that much time to play. But once again, what exactly is it that causes these type of comments and this type of mentality from gamers all over the world? Now, we understand that not every game is equal to each other. Sometimes we find one type of game more interesting than others. But is that really the problem that we're facing? Or is it something much deeper? I think a lot of it boils down to loyalty. And what I mean by that is, let's say you grew up playing PlayStation, and now you have a lot of fond memories of playing a lot of interesting and fun games on your PlayStation. The idea that all of that could be somehow relegated to a small pocket device and that would somehow give you all of those same fond memories or exciting events seems almost like it's an insult. And again, I think a lot of this is us being loyal to that part in our brain. Not so much to a brand. For example, I'm not talking about console wars. I'm not talking about being loyal to Sony or to Microsoft or to anything like that, but more so being loyal to the thoughts and memories and exciting times in the back of our minds. Now, besides that, I know there are a lot of mobile games out there currently that seem very predatory in the way that they fight for our time and including our money. But that doesn't necessarily make the game itself a bad game, nor does it make the idea of gaming on a phone over a console or a PC any less enjoyable. It just means we have to be a little more careful with how we spend our time and how we spend our money. I think a lot of us are stuck to the idea that once we buy a machine and we buy the game, that's pretty much all we need and we should be able to enjoy ourselves from there. But times have changed a lot, and a lot of companies have decided that that's not good enough for them. And instead, they want to try find ways to maximize their interests and their profits from the player. And I've said this before, and I don't agree with those type of practices, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't give the game a chance just because that's true. The game on its own is just a series of events, characters, storyline, and all the other things that factored into it. But if you're able to separate that from the monetization schemes, I think the game itself should still be enjoyable. Now, going back to loyalty. The funny thing about loyalty is that it can change from time to time. What you thought back then was your most interesting and heartfelt experience might seem completely different 10 years down the line. Now, I myself have personally had some great experiences with mobile gaming. Back in the day when mobile gaming wasn't as popular as it was now, we had games like Xenonia. We had companies like Kemco that were pushing out RPGs for us to play. Even games like Candy Crush or Gem Collect were a lot of fun when there wasn't much else to do. And although those weren't groundbreaking games and didn't sell millions and millions of copies, I think a lot of where that loyalty comes from is based on our own personal experiences at the time. Again, back in the days, there weren't that many mobile games to choose from, but what you did have helped a lot with what you didn't have at the time. Currently, there are a lot of interesting games out there right now, a lot of which I'm sure you've already heard of or even played yourself. Honkai Star Rail, Crystal of Atlan, Black Beacon, Epic 7, Etheria Restart, and the more well-known ones like Tower of Fantasy and Genshin Impact. And nowadays, we've gotten to the point where a lot of these mobile games can also be played cross-platform. So that means you have the best of both worlds. And it looks like this is a recurring trend, so seems to be the way of the future. Now again, I think that's a good thing, because in that sense, we have not only the best of both worlds, but we have a bridge to gap the great divide between regular gamers and mobile gamers. And at some point in time, I feel like we'll stop looking at each other in a bad light and stop worrying about those small little insecurities and that idea of loyalty. Not because of money, but because of the love and the joy that we experience from playing these games. After all, isn't the experience of gaming the whole point? So if you can get that same experience or something similar from mobile games, then in my view, that still makes you a gamer. I've been playing games for well over 20 years now, and I don't see myself quitting anytime soon. And I can tell you that I enjoy a great myriad of different mobile games, and I definitely won't stop playing them just because someone thinks I should. Once again, ask yourself that question. If the only thing you had left to play were some of these mobile games out right now, would you still play them? Or would you quit being a gamer altogether? For those of you who prefer and enjoy console and PC gaming only, which games are you enjoying right now? For those of you who play mobile games, which one is your favorite and which one would you recommend to a friend? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoy gaming content like gameplay, narratives, game reviews, gaming news, and commentary, consider liking this video and subscribe to The Hero's Blade. Until next time, wish you all the best and God bless.